Welcome to the Lost in History channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. A French woman has her head shaved by civilians in 1944 as punishment for having collaborated with occupying forces during the Second World War. This kind of act was carried out in several cities after liberation as a public form of reprimand. Carolina, photographed by Louis Hine on May 13, appears as a young worker responsible for replacing full spindles with empty ones in textile mills. The image is part of a series made to document child labor conditions in the early 20th centuries. Two survivors cook outdoors in Dachau in May 1945. The man on the right is identified as Jean Johnny Voste, born in the Belgian Congo, recognized as the only black prisoner at the site. The physician Harvey Cushing, a pioneer of neurosurgery, recorded portraits of patients who underwent brain surgeries in the early 20th century. These images document medical and human aspects of their treatments. Some images of the church, known as Church of God with signs following, were recorded in the 1960s. The members practiced rituals that included handling snakes and drinking poison, based on passages from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 16, verses 17 and 18. A major fire breaks out at an oil well in Santa Fe Springs, California, in 1928, causing significant damage but producing no smoke. The phenomenon occurred because of the direct burning of the oil and gases at the site. A large caliber cannon is fired at night in France in 1918 during the First World War. The shot lights up the surrounding area, showing the use of heavy artillery in the conflict records. Like this show, technological and operational aspects used on the battlefronts of the time. The German battleship Gneisenau, in dry dock in the city of Kiel in 1940, shows bow damage after being hit by a torpedo fired by the British submarine HMS Clyde. The image shows the vessel partly lifted, so the extent of the needed repair can be seen. People deprived of freedom use the canguia, a kind of wooden device placed around the neck, in China. This device was used as a form of punishment and restriction of movement. Three cars from the late 1920s and about 10 people are seen camping or picnicking very close to the edge of the Palouse River Canyon in the state of Washington. The Italian traveler Attilio Gatti stands with two local guides and a captured guerrilla in the Belgian Congo in 1930. The expedition was part of trips Gatti made to document the region's wildlife and cultures. A woman holds a candle and smiles while looking at the large collection of bones inside the Paris catacombs in 1935. The place holds human remains moved from old city cemeteries between the 18th and 19th centuries. A car is struck by 3 million volts during a lightning test carried out by the Westinghouse Electric Corporation in Pittsburgh around the 1940s. The passenger inside was unharmed thanks to the shielding effect provided by the vehicle's metal structure. Young members of a German youth organization in the 1930s stand guard beside the coffins of 5 English students who died during a hike in the Black Forest in 1936. The image shows the group in a formal stance, while local residents and others present take part in the ceremony. One of the last photographs of Al Capone, recorded next to his wife May in Miami around Christmas of 1946. The record was made a few weeks before his death, which occurred at the beginning of 1947. Jesse Owens salutes the flag of the United States after winning the gold medal at the Olympic Games held in Berlin in 1936. The image shows the athlete standing in respect, wearing the uniform of the American team, with the crowd in the background. The English archaeologist Howard Carter opens the innermost chamber of the tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun after its discovery near Luxor, Egypt, in 1922. The expedition revealed one of the most notable archaeological finds of the 20th century, with artifacts preserved for more than 3,000 years. The first complete photograph of Earth was made on May 30, 1966, by the Soviet satellite Molnaya Garny. The image showed the entire planet seen from space, capturing shape, clouds, and continents. The Statue of Liberty stands assembled in Paris shortly before being taken apart for transport. The monument was prepared to be sent to the United States as a gift from France. The Statue of Liberty, covered with scaffolding during its construction, seen from Rue de Chazelle in Paris, France, around 1884. The monument was designed by the French sculptor Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi and built with an internal structure by Gustave Eiffel. The head of the Statue of Liberty, on display in a park in Paris, France, in 1883. The image shows the monumental piece on its own, allowing the public to view it up close before final assembly. Details such as the crown and the facial features of the sculpture are clearly visible. Workers leave the Harland and Wolff shipyards in Belfast, Northern Ireland, in 1911, with the Royal Mail ship Titanic visible in the background. The image shows laborers walking on the streets near the yard while the ship's imposing structure dominates the scene. The first aerial refueling was carried out by Lowell H. Smith and John P. Richter in San Diego, California, on June 27, 1923. The operation consisted of transferring fuel between aircraft in flight, allowing missions to extend their range. Mary Kenneth Keller, a religious sister and educator, became, in 1965, the first woman in the United States to earn a doctorate in computer science. Hewlett-Packard was founded in 1939 by Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard in the city of Palo Alto, California. The company began in a small garage developing electronic measuring instruments. Robert Kennedy and the mayor of West Berlin, Willy Brandt, look across the Berlin Wall on February 22, 1962. The visit took place during an official trip by Kennedy to Europe. King Faisal appears at the Royal Palace in London in the late 1960s. The monarch, who ruled Saudi Arabia, made official visits to strengthen diplomatic and economic relations. The image presents a 1970 advertisement for the release of the album Atom Heart Mother by the British group Pink Floyd. The studio work brought experimental compositions and became a landmark in the band's discography. Harrison Ford and Karen Allen. On the set of Raiders of the Lost Ark, 1981, the image shows the actors in character as Indiana Jones and Marion Ravenwood, interacting between takes and surrounded by production equipment. Kenny Baker, who played R2-D2, takes a break to eat a sandwich on the Star Wars set. The image shows the actor partially in costume, making use of the break between scenes. Frank Sinatra makes a self-portrait in Hoboken, New Jersey, around 1939. The record predates his international fame as a singer and actor. Photographs of this kind offer a personal look at the early moments of renowned artists' careers. Albert Einstein and his sister, Maya Winteler Einstein, in New York City in 1939. The image shows the two side by side, smiling in a relaxed way in a family moment recorded shortly before the start of the 1940s. A camera operator is strapped to the front of a race car to film a scene for the movie Grand Prix, released in 1966. The production used innovative image capture techniques to convey the sensation of speed to the audience. A woman looks at the new safety feature in her car, the seat belt. During the 1950s, the device was beginning to be introduced as a measure to increase protection for passengers in automobiles. An early version of a food truck, recorded in 1918, the image shows a vehicle adapted with service windows and interior space for preparing and selling meals, parked on a busy street. Pinball machines were banned in the cities of New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles between the 1940s and the 1970s, which led to the destruction of many of them. A reader recites a newspaper to workers in a cigar factory in the early 20th century, a practice that began in cigar factories in Cuba in the 1860s and later spread to places such as Ybor City in the United States. A milkman delivers milk to a resident in North London at a time when home delivery was common, around the 1920s. The service was carried out daily or several times a week to ensure fresh milk. Workers set bricks to pave 28th Street in Manhattan on October 2, 1930. The image shows laborers aligning the pieces on the ground, using hand tools to level and secure the material. A film test carried out in 1939 tried giving bat-like wings to the winged monkeys to create a more intimidating appearance. The idea was dropped, and feathered wings were chosen because the initial look was considered overly frightening. A BSA motorcycle is seen in England in 1947. The British brand was known for producing robust and popular models in the post-Second World War period. BSA motorcycles were used both for everyday transportation and in motorcycle competitions. A woman motorcyclist in full gear stands next to her motorcycle, recorded in the 1920s. The outfit includes a helmet, protective goggles, and clothing suitable for riding. A group of friends on a weekend trip pose with a Panther Model 120 motorcycle with a 650 cubic centimeter engine, about 39.7 cubic inches, in September 1959. The image shows the vehicle parked with its classic design and characteristic chrome, while the young women smile at the camera. An Ojibwe hunter uses a spear to fish in 1908. The practice reflects traditional subsistence techniques of this indigenous nation of North America. Records like this help preserve cultural knowledge and fishing methods passed down through generations. Workers cut ice in Toronto, Ontario, Canada in the 1890s. Although ancient civilizations already stored winter ice for summer use, the activity became an important trade in the following years. In 1900, the largest camera in the world was built for the single purpose of photographing an entire train. The equipment had unusual dimensions to capture the complete image of a locomotive and its cars in one frame. The feat became a milestone in the history of photography. Because of the project's scale and complexity, tourists enjoy the view in Egypt, looking at the vast Sahara Desert from the top of the Pyramid of Khufu at sunset. The place is one of the most emblematic monuments on the Giza Plateau and attracts visitors from around the world. The scene combines historic heritage with the desert landscape. An elephant helps load supplies onto an American aircraft in 1945. The scene shows the animal's strength and usefulness in logistics operations during military efforts. A political cartoon published by the Western Press in 1939 shows Stalin and Hitler dividing Europe after the signing of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. The agreement, made between the Soviet Union and Germany, included secret clauses about the partition of territories in Eastern Europe. Two men known as the Giants of Kashmir posed next to American photographer James Recolton in 1903. The record was made during the photographer's trip through the Kashmir region in South Asia. Recorded in the city of San Francisco, United States, in 1908, the image shows the Victorian house known as J.A. Victorian Home being moved with animal power. The relocation was done to reposition the structure within the city while preserving its original build. School-age children in the Netherlands. In the early 20th century, the record shows typical clothing and styles of the time, reflecting the educational setting of that period. Photographs like this help preserve cultural and historical aspects tied to school life in the past. A two-seat vehicle in Paris in 1922, the image shows the compact automobile moving along a city street with period design and details such as thin wheels and an adjustable top. Recorded in New York City, United States, during the 1960s, the image shows the area known as the Lower East Side. The place was marked by busy streets, varied commerce, and a strong presence of immigrant communities. A messenger dog leaps over a German trench in 1915 during the First World War. The image captures the moment when the animal trained to carry messages and small supplies, completes its route with agility. Recorded in Mexico City, Mexico, in 1910, the image shows Porfirio Diaz, the country's president at the time, looking at the sun stone, also known as the Aztec calendar. A boy in Berlin sells lemonade using a portable dispenser in 1931. The image shows the youngster carrying the equipment strapped to his body, with a spigot and cups ready to serve customers on the busy city streets. Tanya Mallet as Tilly Masterson in the 1964 film Goldfinger, seated on a pile of gold bars. The image shows the actress in character for the scene, with elegant wardrobe and a striking expression, creating one of the production's iconic looks. Getting dressed with a crinoline, around 1860, the image shows a woman in period clothing adjusting the circular framework worn under the dress to create volume and shape the skirt. The only known photograph of Grizzly Adams, a California frontiersman known for his work with bears. He became famous for training these animals and for taking part in public shows where he demonstrated his skills. The record is considered an important visual document about notable figures from the period of westward expansion in the United States. A cow is painted with stripes to make it more visible during blackouts carried out in the United Kingdom in the 1940s. The practice helped prevent accidents in rural areas when public lighting was reduced. A Finnish folk medicine practice known as cupping therapy is carried out in a sauna in 1935. The image shows glass cups applied to the skin to create suction, a traditional method used at the time to promote relaxation and stimulate circulation. In 1918, women delivered large blocks of ice, an essential service before refrigerators became common. The ice was used to keep food in household and commercial ice boxes. The founder and then leader of Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh, meets the founder and then leader of North Korea, Kim Il-sung, in Hanoi, North Vietnam. In February 1957, the image shows the two leaders greeting each other in a courteous way, surrounded by officials and aides. Don Knotts, an American actor known for his work in television and film, poses as an enthusiast of small go-car vehicles. The record shows a relaxed moment tied to the artist's interest in leisure vehicles. In 1968, the image shows Brigitte Bardot, a French actress and singer of international recognition. In that period, Bardot was one of the leading names in European cinema and an influential reference in fashion. Teenagers use a blanket to toss their friend Norma Baker into the air at Hermosa Beach, California. In 1948, the scene was recorded by photographer John Florea for Life magazine. Walt Disney presents each of the seven dwarfs in a scene from the original 1937 trailer for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. The image shows the creator speaking directly to the audience, while drawings of the characters are shown, highlighting their personalities and unique traits. passengers aboard a transcontinental flight in the early years of commercial aviation. The aircraft of the time offered simple seating and longer travel compared to present-day flights. A road with sharp turns and winding sections gives drivers an experience similar to a roller coaster ride. The unusual layout draws attention for its visual aspect and the different sensation while driving. A motorized saddle designed to move and help strengthen core muscles. The equipment simulates the motion of riding and works balance and posture. This type of device is used both for physical exercise and for motor rehabilitation. Engineer Ted Spence demonstrates in January 1950 in Los Angeles the hairline brush, a polisher for bald heads. The device was created to give shine and improve the appearance of the scalp. Inventions like this reflect curious trends and unusual solutions of the period. The French inventor Alain Dame created in 1968 the spaghetti spinner, a device that automatically rotated the pasta to make eating easier. The device aimed to make winding the strands of pasta more practical and faster. A foot massage helps increase blood flow, bringing relief to tired and cold feet. The practice can contribute to muscle relaxation and improved circulation. This simple care is used for everyday comfort and as part of wellness therapies. The last veterans of the Third French Siege of Tarragona, which took place in 1809, photographed in 1869. The record brings together participants who witnessed the historic event 6 decades earlier. Donald Trump in 1980 poses next to a scale model of Trump Tower shortly before the building was completed. The image shows the businessman holding or pointing to the detailed model that represents the final architectural design. A Ringling Brothers circus elephant exits a rail car in 1963. The image shows the animal carefully walking down a ramp, guided by trainers, while part of the crew watches the process. A woman cleans the kitchen floor with brushes strapped to her feet while she reads in the 1950s. The image shows the unusual scene with her taking the opportunity to do 2 things at the same time. A man on the beach is fined for not wearing clothing considered appropriate. In 1931, the image shows the individual being approached by a local officer at a time when there were specific rules for swimwear in public places. A shy girl smiles at the camera in a record made 143 years ago. The photograph preserves clothing and style details, characteristic of the late 19th century. Portraits like this were common to mark special occasions and create lasting family memories. Members of the band Kiss before adopting their signature makeup in 1972. The image shows the group gathered in a casual way, wearing everyday clothes and without the visual elements that would become their stage trademark. The city of Conway, in the state of Missouri, United States, in 1919. The record captures urban and architectural elements characteristic of the early 20th century cities. Like Conway, preserve part of their history through buildings and photographic records from that period. Although the city of Thiers produced blades for much of France, it did not have its own model until 1994, when the exclusive model called Le Thiers was launched. The work Reminiscing the Father from 1925 shows a scene that evokes family memories. The title suggests a moment of recollection regarding the father figure. Works from this period often explored sentimental themes and personal relationships in their artistic or photographic context. The Azorian cloak and hood appear in old photographs showing Portuguese women from the Azores wearing their traditional hooded capes. This clothing was used for protection against the weather and also as a distinctive cultural element. A Crimean Tatar girl is portrayed in a photograph from the early 20th century. The image preserves clothing and style details, characteristic of the Tatar community of the region. Records like this help document cultural traditions and aspects of daily life of the time.